probably somewhat of a travesty having me. Then he told the people you could call me your majesty.
YouTube, welcome back to another video, man. It's your boy Sean 2 Trim, and today we will be looking at how good was the Ruthless aggression era in the WWE. Now, me personally, I am 22 years old. I was born in 2003. I didn't see all of the Ruthless aggression era, but I caught bits and pieces of it from being about like 8 years old. And boy, do I tell you, I am a wrestling fanatic from head to toe, man. I can tell you anything you need to know about wrestling. I love wrestling ever since I was a kid. That was really like the first sport I really liked. It went like wrestling, football, then basketball, but wrestling just, you know, has a very special place in my heart, man. If I had a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, I'd probably go John Cena, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton. Ooh, it's so many people. I could go Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker. I'd probably go to Rock. That's my Mount Rushmore. John Cena is my favorite wrestler of all time. Jeff Hardy, close second, man. Hey, man, without further ado, leave in the comment section, when did you start watching wrestling? If you started watching wrestling, and leave down in the comment section who's your favorite wrestler. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Talk to me.
An era that saw the rise of Super Cena and his spinner belt.
Yes,
when
sir.
Edge turned into the biggest villain on television.
I hate you.
And we loved every second of it.
Oh my gosh, this
when
was
Randy
crazy.
Orton started putting legends into hospitals. When Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero fought for the custody of Dominic in a ladder match.
Crazy.
When Batista was the biggest badass on the planet.
Yes.
And when names like The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kane, and Kurt Angle were just regular parts of your Monday nights.
Yes.
The Ruthless aggression era was the perfect mix of the chaos from the Attitude Era and the pure wrestling talent of the new generation. It still had the violence, blood, and over-the-top storylines.
And let me just say, Vince McMahon in some of these storylines that he's probably be about to explain, what was Vince doing? How is Vince coming up with these egregious storylines, bro? That just absolutely makes no sense and is freaky down to the last sense of the word, bro.
But it also delivered some of the best matches you'll ever see. You had personal stakes, hungry newcomers, established legends, beautiful divas, and controversial moments that had the entire world talking.
Yes, sir.
But what exactly made the Ruthless aggression era so damn good? How does it stack up to WWE today?
Come on.
What were the biggest moments, craziest stories, and memorable matches that defined this wild time in wrestling?
Talk to me.
Let's take a trip down memory lane together and figure out why so many of us still think this was WWE's last golden era.
Let's do it. Chapter 1.
When you think of the Ruthless aggression era, the first thing you have to talk about is how absolutely stacked the roster was.
Oh my goodness.
Of course, you had the big names like John Cena, who started as a rapper and went on to become the face of the company. Edge, who went from being just another tag team guy to the most hated man in wrestling. Batista, who had this quiet intensity and one of the coolest entrances of all time. Randy Orton, who came in looking like every other generic pretty boy before becoming the legend killer. But along with these fresh and young main event stars, you also had the legends of yesteryear still going strong. The Undertaker was still putting on classics and building his WrestleMania streak into this mythical thing that felt bigger than any championship. Shawn Michaels came back from retirement and somehow got even better than before. Triple H was in his reign of terror phase, holding the World Heavyweight Championship for what felt like forever. Kane was still this unhinged monster who could snap at any moment. Whether he was electrocuting Shane McMahon's balls or setting Jim Ross on fire, Kane brought this unpredictable violence that made every show feel dangerous. And it wasn't just the main event scene that was loaded. Even the mid-card was stacked with names like Jeff Hardy, who made jumping off ridiculously high things look like poetry. Rey Mysterio was the coolest high flyer with his mask that made him look like a superhero.
I swear I wanted to be like Rey Mysterio so bad. Jeff Hardy, John Cena, man. It's just crazy how incredibly stacked this roster was, man. You had the legends from in the past who were still putting on banger matches. You had Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, all of them. And then you had the new school with John Cena, Kurt Angle, Edge, Randy Orton, Batista. I mean, the list just goes on. This was truly a beautiful time to be a wrestling fan. And I was nothing but like 2-3 years old, man. I didn't understand what I was watching till I was about like 10, and then really starting to understand till I was about like 15. But this was what got me into it.
Kurt Angle was this Olympic hero turned insufferable heel who could wrestle circles around anyone. Eddie Guerrero had this natural charisma that just drew you in completely.
Yes.
Eddie could lie, cheat, and steal his way to victory and somehow make you cheer for him while he did it.
Yes.
Towards the later part of this era, you also had ECW legends like RVD, Sabu, Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, and a young CM Punk becoming regular parts of WWE programming.
Yes,
This
sir.
roster had everything: established legends, rising stars, and depth for days. And when you mix this talented roster with an evil mastermind like Vince McMahon, you got heated stories and blood feuds that had the entire world talking.
Chapter 2.
The key highlight that makes this era stand out was the sheer amount of blood feuds and personal vendettas.
Yes,
These weren't
bro.
just your typical
Amazing
I want your title
feuds.
stories. These were I hate everything about you
Look at
and
this.
I'm going to destroy your life stories. Take Cena versus Edge, for example. The story started with Edge stealing Cena's championship when he was at his most vulnerable. But over the next 2 years, it grew into something much more personal and insidious. Edge invaded Cena's home and slapped his dad. Cena...
You see what I mean? Who thinks of this stuff? Who thinks of going to a parent's home and slapping the taste right out of their mouth, bro? It was the amount of creativity and the amount of storytelling that Vince and his team had was just mind blowing. And for me watching, I don't even know what's going on. I just know they fighting. I don't know what none of this stuff is. I just see them fighting. And they putting on banger matches. And I just want John Cena to win. So I hated Edge. Anything he did with Lita, I hated it.
Tossed Edge into the Long Island Sound. Edge cost Cena his title at ECW One Night Stand. Cena attacked Edge and Lita in their hotel room. It was a personal feud that revolved around the characters and not just the title. It was Batman versus Joker. When they had that TLC match at Unforgiven, it felt like watching two guys who genuinely wanted to destroy each other's lives.
I've ever watched.
When Cena sent Edge crashing through 2 tables, it felt like poetic justice. Or what about Cena versus Orton? The feud started because both men wanted to prove that they deserved to be the next face of the WWE.
My personal favorite John Cena feud. I feel like John Cena versus Randy Orton is the best John Cena feud, bro, hands down.
Both men broke out from the OVW class of 2002, and the story wrote itself. Orton was this cocky young legend killer, while Cena was the clean-cut hero who could do no wrong. But when Orton kicked Cena's dad in the head, it forced him to cross lines that the C-Nation leader had never crossed before. Their feud lasted years because every time you thought it was over, Orton would do something heinous to reignite the hatred. You had Orton putting Cena on the shelf, Cena returning from injury way ahead of schedule to get his revenge, Orton getting himself intentionally disqualified to retain his title, and both men being pushed to new limits that unlocked new layers of their character. These stories progressed every week. They elevated the stars and made fans connect with them. Every match had a meaning behind it. Every feud had personal stakes and emotions that made you genuinely
such a good feud.
Undertaker versus Edge was pure psychological warfare. Edge tried every cheap trick in the book to escape Taker's wrath, but Taker would just keep coming back like some unstoppable force of nature. When Taker chokeslammed Edge through the ring inside Hell in a Cell, it felt satisfying because the dead man finally got his...
I thought he killed him. You gotta be mindful, bro. I'm like 10 years old, bro. I don't know that wrestling is fake. I don't know that wrestling is scripted. So everything that I'm seeing, I'm thinking is real. He just chokeslammed him through the mat. I'm thinking he chokeslammed him to hell. Cause I think under the ring is just fire. You gonna have him choke slam him through the ring and then gonna have fire to come on. I thought he was dead. Fast forward the next week. Why is he still here? I ain't put 2 and 2 together. I was 10, bro. Chill out.
Revenge after months of battles. DX versus the McMahons brought back Shawn Michaels and Triple H as this rebellious duo going to war with the boss and his family. They'd show up at Titan Towers, they'd spray paint the WWE headquarters, and they'd make Vince and Shane look like complete idiots every week. The whole thing felt like watching your favorite rebels stick it to authority. And when they finally got their hands on Vince inside Hell in a Cell, it was pure cinema.
Yes.
Randy versus Taker during the Legend Killer days was this perfect David versus Goliath story. Except David was an arrogant little shit who probably deserved to get his ass kicked. Orton kept talking about how he was going to be the one to end the streak, while Taker played his supernatural mind games to spook out the young punk. You had Orton setting Taker on fire, disrespecting his legacy, hosting a funeral for the dead man, while Taker kept rising back from the dead and making Orton...
What are we looking at, bro? You mean to tell me from my young age, I'm seeing Undertaker get put in a coffin and lit on fire? He's dead. Why is he not dead? Y'all call him the dead man, but he's actually a dead man. Why on this episode of SmackDown, it's a flaming casket, and guess who it is? The Undertaker kicking the door down and walking out through fire. I don't know what they was doing, but this was like crack. It was like crack, bro. You couldn't keep me away from the TV. 8 p.m. on Monday, I'm there. 8 p.m. on Friday, I'm there with pizza. Come on, man.
Life hell. Every single one of these stories had motives that went beyond just winning matches.
Bro.
Stars would go to absolute limits to get revenge. These weren't cartoon villains doing bad things because the script said so. These felt like real people with real hatred.
Yes, bro.
The personal connection
this
was
stuff
everything.
Felt real to me.
When Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio fought over custody of Dominic, it was insane and probably wouldn't fly today.
No,
when Batista
not at
finally
all.
turned on Triple H after months of manipulation, that thumbs down hit different because you'd watched their relationship build for over a year. These feuds also knew how to build. Cena and Edge didn't just start hating each other overnight. It took months of Edge slowly becoming more and more obsessed with taking everything from Cena.
Yes.
Randy's Legend Killer run built week by week as he took out bigger and bigger names
Why
until
is he
was ready to go
RKOing
after
Grandma?
names like Hogan and The Undertaker. The best part was how these stories would weave together. Edge's feud with Cena would spill over into his issues with Mick Foley. Triple H mentoring Randy and Batista in Evolution set up their eventual betrayals. Undertaker's supernatural stuff would blend perfectly with Kane's monster character when they'd team up or fight each other. These were personal wars where people's pride, relationships, and legacies were on the line. That's what made every match feel important and every betrayal hurt like hell. When someone got their revenge, it actually meant something because you'd watch them suffer for months to get there. Apart from this, you also had underrated feuds like Mr. Kennedy versus Undertaker, Kane versus Umaga, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho, and Jeff Hardy versus Umaga. The stories built up week after week, and every show felt like a continuation of the previous week. But apart from the roster and stories, there was another key factor that made the Ruthless Aggression era so special.
What was it? Chapter 3.
The production during this era just hit different. Raw had this gritty underground feel with darker lighting and that red rope setup that made everything feel more intense.
Bro.
SmackDown rolled with the blue ropes and this cleaner, more colorful look that somehow made the wrestling feel crisper.
And then the show theme songs. Chef's kiss.
You could tell which show you were watching just by looking at the stage setup. Raw had that jagged metal entrance ramp while SmackDown had the giant fist. The theme songs were absolute bangers that actually told you who the wrestler was. John Cena's theme made him feel like a conquering hero every single time.
Yes, sir.
Edge's theme was this perfect mix of heavy metal and haunting melody that captured his twisted character perfectly.
You think you know me?
Batista's theme was just pure intimidation that got you hyped up to go to war. Triple H's theme was this perfect blend of arrogance and power that matched his character.
Come on, time to play the game, man.
Even the entrance stages were works of art. WrestleMania 21 had that massive Hollywood-style setup that made every entrance feel like a movie premiere. Cyber Sunday's stage made it look futuristic. SummerSlam felt...
Bro, you not a real wrestling fan if... When the pay-per-views happened, you knew your parents wasn't going to pay $60 for that pay-per-view, bro. And over the weekend, you just had to guess and wonder what happened at these pay-per-views. You would be sitting at your TV 8 p.m. Monday after, let's just say, WrestleMania just happened the night before. It's the Monday after Mania. And they showing pictures of everything that happened, bro. You not a real wrestling fan if you never been through that, man.
Felt like an actual party.
I don't want to see these
regular
pictures.
Pay-per-views like Judgment Day and Backlash had unique staging that made them feel special and
American
different from weekly TV.
Bro.
Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler's commentary on Raw made everything feel bigger than it actually was. Michael Cole and Taz on SmackDown had this different dynamic that gave the show its unique vibe. Pay-per-view graphics were these elaborate movie poster-style designs.
Yes.
Each event had its own visual identity that got you hyped just looking at the promotional material. The Titantrons were mini-movies that told you everything about a character in 30 seconds.
Yes.
This didn't feel like just a wrestling show.
It was
like
a
complete audio-visual experience that made you feel like you were watching something epic every single week.
Yes.
And every week you get insane moments and scandals that had the entire fan base talking.
Chapter 4.
The Ruthless Aggression era gave us moments that still give you goosebumps when you watch them back.
Yes.
Edge cashing in Money in the Bank on John Cena at New Year's Revolution changed everything. Cena had just...
This is why I hate Edge, bro. And this is why they call him the ultimate opportunist, bro. Anytime he had an opportunity to hurt your feelings, bro, and take the most prized possession from anybody, he would do it, bro. Wait till John Cena is beat up as bad as he is, then cashes in his Money in the Bank, hit him with a spear. He's the new champion, bro. Get out of here.
Survived an Elimination Chamber match. He was barely standing. And then you hear Edge's music. The crowd absolutely lost their minds as Edge walked down that ramp with his briefcase. When he hit the spear and won the WWE Championship, it felt like watching the perfect villain moment. Eddie Guerrero beating Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship at No Way Out was pure magic. Brock Lesnar slamming Big Show so hard that the ring collapsed at a random SmackDown episode was the kind of holy shit moment that made you believe anything could happen. Chris Benoit and Eddie hugging at the end of WrestleMania with both world titles was wrestling perfection.
Yes.
When Undertaker chokeslammed Edge through the ring and flames shot up from the hole, it looked like he'd literally sent Edge to hell. Rey Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble felt impossible until it happened.
Who's that?
Randy Orton attacking his own girlfriend to send a message to The Undertaker had the entire arena stunned in silence. The first Elimination Chamber at Survivor Series was this terrifying spectacle that looked like something out of a horror movie. Batista's thumbs down to Triple H on Raw was built up for months and felt like the most satisfying thing ever.
Yes.
Watching Jeff Hardy Swanton bomb someone through a table from 20 feet up felt like it was the most beautiful thing you'd ever seen. These moments worked because they felt organic and surprising, even when you could see them coming. Each one advanced storylines while creating these iconic visuals that still give chills today. No motion was wasted. Every action led to something. That's what made every episode of Raw and SmackDown during the Ruthless Aggression era so special. The Ruthless Aggression era was lightning in a bottle that WWE will probably never capture again. This era worked because it found the sweet spot between the chaos of the Attitude Era and the pure wrestling of what came before. You got blood, violence, and soap opera drama, but you also got some of the best matches in WWE history.
Yes.
Current WWE has better production on paper, but it's missing that raw emotional connection the Ruthless Aggression era had in spades.
Yep.
But let me know what you think. Is the WWE today better than it was during the Ruthless Aggression era?
Absolutely not.
Thanks for watching, and I'll...
Absolutely not. The WWE now can never touch the WWE back then, and that's just how it is, man. You had some of the most creative and mind-boggling storytelling mixed with the amount of talent that was on the roster. You could really pinpoint and put anybody anywhere and make a banger match. Man, you had the technicians, man, the ring specialists, the high flyers. You had Raw, you had SmackDown, wondering what was gonna happen next. And then when they came together for Survivor Series, what's the better team? Are you Team Raw or are you Team SmackDown? Bro, it hit different. Like I kept saying, bro, it was like crack. It make you come back, bro. And just today, it's not like that anymore. When you got all these like sponsorships and people buying bits and pieces of WWE, and you got WWE on Netflix, ESPN, Saudi Arabia, and they're doing all these other shows, things they weren't able to do back then, is really taking away from the product today. Some people are happy that Vince McMahon isn't booking the shows because he would overlook talent and never knew what he really had. But on the flip side of that, he could put banger matches together like it was nobody's business. If you were one of the top guys, you were always in a feud. No matter if the storyline was good or bad, if you could put on the banger matches, people would just look past that, as to where You have Triple H calling the shots now. When he started out, everybody loved it, but as he's going on now, it's like there's no creativity, there's no liveness of the WWE now. Do I believe they can get to a similar level of what the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era was? They can, but will it ever surpass it? Now we're talking nonsense, man. But if you enjoyed today's video, man, make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing. We are on the road to 100 subscribers, man. You guys have been going crazy with the views and with the likes. Let's tie it all in together and hit that subscribe button, man. It's been your boy Sean 2 Trim. Cue the outro.
Facebook.